Hello, welcome back to Creative You Knitting Podcast. Crocheters, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there with another podcast, but welcome. It's now July. Can't believe it. July the 2nd. Wow. We're getting hot weather. We had been getting a lot of rain, and now the heat is coming and the flowers are blooming. And I have to tell you, a lot of things today are instant gratification, and kids aren't being taught to save money and wait. It's just credit card and instant gratification. And I had this old pack of flower seeds laying around my house, maybe 12 years. I don't know. And when I was keeping my little grandson Tobin, I was looking for things for him to do, and we got out seashells and we got out those little glass beads that they sell at the craft stores, and we created a garden. And he put his little figures out there and he planted this pack of seeds. And after that, we got pelted with rain, so much rain. I thought those poor little seeds will be washed away. But no, they started to grow and grow and grow. And I had been waiting, and it's been, 2 months. And we don't get a lot of sun, but these leaves started to grow up that looked like weeds. They had like a sawtooth edging, and they got real big, these big leafy plants. And a little flower bloomed, and it was about yay big, half an inch, little like white flower that you might find along the roadside. But every day I kept watching these big leafy things, and then they got pods, and the pods were furry, like I remembered my grandmother's orange or poppies getting, and the pods got heavy and they leaned over. And every day I go out and look and look and look, and finally I went out and I was rewarded by this. Look at that. It's a pink poppy. This is the second one. The first one was little, but a beautiful tissue papery type pink poppy. I don't think anything else out of the pack grew except that one, but I love it. I love it. I love it. Just to tell you a little endearing story, we went to my daughter-in-law's house, Erin and her husband Adam. They were getting ready to leave on vacation, so we weren't going to stay long, and I put lipstick on. I think I have it on my teeth. I'm sorry. A viewing audience. And he had mowed, I guess, the day before, and accidentally chopped off 2 echinacea purple cone flowers. And instead of just letting them lay, he brings them in, he puts them in a vase, and then because they're leaving on vacation, he tenderly wraps them up and gets them ready for us to take home. And I thought, what a tender-hearted guy. And, in today's world of disrespect for life and throwing away life, it really touched my heart. So I love you, Adam. So I decided I would hurry up and throw together a podcast. Hope nobody comes in the door. Hope it stays quiet. Show you some of the things I've impulsively done, and a little bit disorganized. So we'll just go to it and see what happens. I've kind of forgotten about shawl pins. Gals, you can wear these sticks in your hair. You wrap your hair up, take the pin and kind of stick it in and pull it down that way, and you have an instant hairdo. This is a shawl that one of my customers inspired me to do. It's with Cairns, Kirns, Queensland Cairns, which is a cotton acrylic tape construction. And this is the color that I picked. It's a very quick project because you do it on size 15 needles. Somehow I think maybe I started it on 6s and went to 15s. I don't remember. to do this really neat loose bind off where you knit 2 together and then knit 1, put them back on the left needle, and then knit 2 together through the back loop, I think, and you get this really loose chain tight. And it's just a light, I think I was starting it on the last podcast. It's nice and springy, has a nice little ruffly effect, but I started thinking about shawl pins and all the neat things that you could do. You could turn that down like a shawl collar, or you could just turn up one end. You could knot it. You could, and it's just a very basic knit in the front and the back of each end, and you get this skinny, you know. I was watching a video today by Sean, is it Basner, who has the shawl pins. You could kind of do that. Could put your shawl pin here, you know. But accessory, I'm convinced accessories are where it's at. And if you don't know how to do a shawl pin, and you want to be careful with your stitches, so you stick it in one end and then the other. And I bet I would get compliments. I bet I would. Okay, so that is my Glorious Day shawl or scarf. And I think I mentioned she says that it's a winter, but I don't agree. I mean, it's a cotton acrylic. I could also do that and turn that under and bring that up. I mean, I think being creative minds, we forget to get creative with the things that we make. So, my husband's birthday is July 22nd. It's coming up, and I never make him anything. And when I do, he doesn't bother with it. So, one of the things I do is to pick out a color that I don't like and then try to see what comes. And I started this pair of socks for him. You know how they say the shoemaker's children go pair? I have 4 different double-pointed needles. And what I'm seeing is this diagonal pulling of this cream color. And I can't decide if it's good or not good, or to be or not to be. And so I just did that ribbing, and now I'm switching to stockinette stitch. And then I'll see what this color does. But I think he'll like this color. He's really into color and different things. And we were playing a game last night called Tri-Bond. You know, the house is still torn apart. There's not a lot we can do. We play 2 games of Farkle every night. Did any of you ever play that? And I got out this board game that I had gotten, I think, at a thrift shop. And it hadn't even been used. And you get a card, and the card gives you 3 things that are similar, and you have to say what the commonality is. So he had one that said quality of the voice, something like measurement of the muscle, something about the muscle, and then I think like a quality of color. What they were trying to get at is tone, quality of the voice, your muscles, and I'm even giving him hints. You go to the gym to tone, and I'm like, come on, art teacher. He's an art teacher, and he was way off. But then some of them were so easy. But I got one, a submarine, geometry, and what was the other one? Something like aircraft. It was, they all have planes. Geometry has planes. I was like, oh, for pity's sake. Some of them were kind of crazy. So we've been doing like, oh, and then I have to tell you that when I got to the end of this, I was short I was binding off. It told you to save 11 yards. I saved about 22, and I ran out of yarn. I had like yay many stitches left to bind off, and I ran out. And you know, you think about your time is worth some money, taking that all bind off out and then taking another row out, and I just decided to get another ball, but now I have another ball. So it's, I think, an Aran weight, and what I picked for this project is a Last Minute Baby top down by Cabin Fever. Cabin Fever comes from Kramer Yarns, and I'm going to do the short sleeve one, I think, because I don't want to run out of yarn again. And the other thing as a yarn shop owner that I have to deal with is making samples and then finding that the yarn is discontinued. So I went from a size 15 needle to a size 10.5, and the way this pattern works, it's a preemie is done on a US 9 needle, 0 to 3 months is done on a 10, and a 6 month is done on a 10.5. So I don't think they changed the number of stitches, they changed the needle size. So clever. And so this is what, and I thought that would be cute for a baby. It does have like a pinkish purple in it, which I know sometimes moms of boys are fussy about that. My snafu of the week. I think last week when I podcasted, I was working with Chunky Moki, which was a Crystal Palace yarn. They are no longer a yarn company. And you know what? If this were your hair, I'm just saying, if this were your hair, we're talking about this. So yes, you gather it all up, and then you take your pin and go up and then over, and then you have your hair up. I know when we're riding in the car and the wind is whipping my hair into my eyes and my mouth, I always forget to bring my little knitted headband. But my snafu of the week is I'm here by myself. Sometimes it gets pretty quiet. And I decided to make these Chunky Moki socks, a women's size 7. I thought I had gauge, and look, I have a child size. Not that they're not cute, but not what I was expecting. So that's one of my snafus, just one. Just one. Okay. There is a, while we're on socks, Ellen, who comes in here, I don't know if I showed you or not, she took together 2 unlikely colors of Cascade Fixation yarn, which looks like this. It's a cotton yarn, it's a DK, and it has just a 1.7% elastic. So when you knit with it, you have to kind of get used to its stretches. So she only had 2 colors at home, and she just thought, I'm going to get creative. And she put together this sock, and she's offering the pattern. And now she's kind of playing around with it, I think, to maybe make it a little bit higher. But all of a sudden, we're just having this creation explosion where customers are coming in and they're creating things. I think it's wonderful. And I have encouraged all of you to be creative. And when you see what I created, you'll be laughing, laughing, laughing. So let's just look at a few things here. That is the glorious day that I have on. So if you're interested, it is a free pattern. And she did use Queensland Cairns. Diane Augustine, like Augustine, but no E. And Yarn Happy Bead Happy. And she has a website, yarnhappybeadhappy.com. While I have this book open, I'll show you this. I like this book. It's to use up mini skeins, and I have some of the Lion brand bonbons, and nobody seems to know what to do with them except for Diana, who designed that beautiful baby blanket. And so you get these little tiny, I think they're 10-gram balls that you think aren't going to go very far. And I decided to do this Lombard Street scarf in this book. And it told you to cast on 73 stitches. Well, when they brought this book out, these bonbons came in sport weight, which they don't now. And I figured this weight of yarn, I'd only get like a little bit of each color. So I cast on, I think, about 36. I'm trying to do a color a day. And it is funny because every time you add a new color, you get a different look. And sometimes you're not sure you like it at first, but then of course you put on another color. And I thought this would be fun for someone who doesn't have a lot of time. Pick a scarf and take some of your scraps, put them into little balls, and then just do one a day. So more about that later. So I think we're talking about designing. I have a lot of older knitting books. This is a Vogue 2015. You see that look? I play this game with my Facebook viewers. Thursday or Friday, I'll put on a picture from a vintage magazine and say, when did this pattern debut? And people have a lot of fun because sometimes they think, oh man, that must have been the 70s. It's just a few years ago. And one of the things I said is there was a transition from happy, joyful models to like stone cold, stoic faces. Why? That's my question. What's the point? I mean, she even has her arms crossed like oppositional. I don't get it. But we have some furry yarn in the store, and I kind of think that might be neat. I would like walking down the street in that. I inherited this fake fur coat from my Aunt Aggie, who was in her 90s when she died. So this coat was old. And my mother said, you're not wearing that. I'm like, oh yeah, I had my Saint Bernard puppy. We're out in the winter. I have my coat. Everybody loved it. Where'd you get that coat? But I was looking at this top. And this top, nah, it's already out of style. But what if you did that? Short tops are in. Oh no. Or you could say, you know what? I like that VairIsle. I'm going to put that in a hat or a scarf. So I'm trying to get you all to think outside the box. And so this is definitely an older magazine, 2005. Woo! So there she has her smile, right? And a look of contentment. Now you look at this and you say, no. But let's look a little closer. Suppose you were thinking of designing a shawl or even a baby hat. Look at that cute little pattern there. That's cute. Or what about this tulip type on the edge of a scarf? Don't you think that would be pretty? So what you could do is start a designing book and put the, just cut out the pattern and take it from there. And so I see a lot of things. I'm just like, no, 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 no. But then you see something like that, I think we've come a long, long way because, like here is a shell, and it's basically just two squares sewn together. I think we've come a long, long way. And there is a sweater. And again, what about the stitch? That would make a nice scarf, or maybe a baby blanket. And so, and these patterns make it easy. They have a little section right there that says pattern stitch. You know, tear it out. Sometimes you can get these magazines for $1 or almost nothing. And tear your patterns out. Here's an old one. That's 2000 and something. Knit and Style. Again, see the nice smiles? And so you look through the book, and that's kind of cute. And it has a little cable pattern in it. And it has some things in that aren't so cute. So I'm just kind of looking, you know, definitely the eyelash yarn was in. But I was looking at this. I don't know if you can see that. There's a lot of glare. But I've seen some shawls where they have a wide section with those type kind of like crisscrossy patterns. And so right away I decided to save this for my design book. And again, here's my pattern for me to cut out. And I was looking at this. It's not a dress, it's a top and a skirt and a shawl. But thinking, okay, what is that stitch? And what is that? I could use that on a shawl. So I'm just trying to get you to look at things in a different way. Somebody said that in today's world, we have forgotten how to think for ourselves. It might be true. And there's a lot of like herd mentality. And when I went to nursing school, I had a teacher, Mrs. Holtz something, and she made us read an article in a nursing magazine and then critique it. And I had always just thought, like, what you read, isn't that the absolute truth? And isn't this person like an authority, and don't they know? But when you begin to learn to read like that, what did I like about this? What did I not like about it? How were the paragraphs organized? What did it start out with? How did it end up? You kind of get in that vein of thinking. And like sometimes I'll see a pattern and I'm thinking, well, why wasn't this here or that there? It would have been a lot easier, you know. And so I'm just inviting you to try that out in your own life. About 6 months ago at the shop, we started a two-handed VairIsle workshop. And we started out with a hat called 16 Hearts. And I had a picture here ready to show you, and now I can't find it. But Holly, oh, that's Holly and Cody. Aren't they a sweet couple? And Cody just sits there on her chest while she's knitting, and every now and then he opens up his eyes. But that is her VairIsle, V-A-I-R, Isle. Look at this beautiful job she did. It's wonderful. We love the design. It's by the London Queer. And I wrote to him and told him, you are so talented. He has a wonderful kind of like ear flap hat that goes with it. And hers turned out great. Really, I'm quite jealous because even though I taught the class and taught people how to pick colors, I'm not sure about my colors. the first rule is high contrast. So Creative Yarn, which is Baby Alpaca, and then Viking Aurora. I think she picked Finley, which is a wool silk, but this would also look great. And I think I only have about 6 of these because this was discontinued, but it turned out so pretty, and I'm really proud of her. And I don't want to give away any secrets of the pattern, but you know, I'm looking for more patterns from him that of this caliber. And mine, let's see, mine I picked, and I've gotten distracted by many other things. I have this color of the Creative, and then Queensland Sunshine Coast, which together are pretty and complementary, not really contrast. So I'm going to get more of a complementary than and it's still going to be very pretty. And you know, the first rule is don't compare yourself, because you'll always end up with the short stick. And if you do something, you know, the more I look at it, the more I like it. And you know, the question is, would you do it? Would you do it again? Would you knit it again? An emphatic yes. I gotta get her done so that I can pick some other colors and go for it. We talked about the fixation. I'm trying to do a dishcloth a week. I like the way this yarn stretches, you know, for a washcloth or a dishcloth. And when you do patterns that have nubs or garter stitch bumps, I know people say, I hate to use it for cleaning, but isn't that why you made it? Really good at picking up dirt. So this is the book, More Dishcloths and Nifty Dishcloths. And I'm hoping to do one a week. And the thing that kind of gets you is it takes longer to do one than you think. And, yep, longer to do that little dishcloth than you think. I'm going to show you my biggest snafu of the week. Some few years back, I had this yarn, Modella. It comes in some really pretty colors. Hold on, here comes someone.